Hey, what is up guys, Zero here. Welcome back to another lorcana video. Today I have for you a deck profile. I'm finally going to bring you the deck profile for the Sapphire Steel build that I have been showing off in my past couple videos. This is the latest and greatest build, so this is the most up-to-date. It's what I'm currently using today. I have a couple more videos lined up that I'm going to be showing you some of my previous builds, so this will be the most up-to-date, and the next couple videos are going to show some of the other things I've been testing before I got to this point. But yeah, I brought this to a tournament last week. We had a double case tournament, so about 8 boxes were on the line for top 8. I'll kind of talk about how that went and the matches. We can go over some of the matches at the end, but yeah, right now let's just start with the deck profile and I'll talk about the cards I'm putting in and why I'm doing it. But yeah, let's get to it. So first up, we have the bread and butter of the deck. Non-negotiable, you have to run 4 of each in my opinion. 4 popsicles, and also we have 4 Fortispheres. These are the only 1-drops we run, and I think you have to run 4 of each. It's just because it sets everything up in the deck, and it's the one leg up that we have on Ruby Sapphire, is that we have basically 2 sets of popsicles. But yeah, this is kind of the oil that keeps your engine running. And you know, don't sleep on the effects of these cards too. I think a lot of people forget Popsicle has the second effect that you can banish it to remove 2 damage counters. And Fortisphere, this one is a lot less used, but you can also pay 1 cost to give a character of yours bodyguard until the start of your turn. It usually catches people off guard. Nobody really uses it. It can really save a game sometimes, but yeah, the main thing these will be doing is being ditched into your discard for a bunch of effects. So yeah, really good card, and we are running all 8. Next is our ramp engine of choice. We have 3 copies of One Jump Ahead. This effect is, of course, when you play it, you put the top card of your deck into your inkwell. It's what gets you ramping ahead of your opponent if you have it and they don't. If you're asking why we run 3 versus 4, it is uninkable, so that is usually a choice. But for me personally, it's because I found out the day before the tournament that I only own 3, which is crazy to think of, because I have so many of the set 1 cards, but apparently I only owned 3 One Jump Aheads, which wasn't a problem until now. But yeah, I am running only 3 until I get my hands on the 4th. For now, I'm replacing it. I would probably run 4, just because this is your ideal turn to play. You want to hit the One Jump Ahead, get into your 3 ink, so that on turn 3 you're 4. That's the whole idea of this deck, is you want 4 ink for the turn 4 plays, because I know a lot of iterations of this deck try to, or some of them run Detective Mickey instead, and I did also in set 3. I also chose Detective Mickey over One Jump Ahead, but I really did not like it. I did not like playing it. It just felt gross every time. But the idea for that was you wanted to hit 5 ink to hit your Cogsworth and your Beast Tragic Hero. But for this one, instead you want to hit your 4 drops, which we will go over in a bit. But yeah, this is One Jump Ahead. Next, I have 4 copies of Mr. Shmee, which I also ran in the last set. If you've been watching my videos, I have not had him in. Instead, I've been having Scuttle, but after some testing, I'm just seeing Scuttle just feels not very strong. His board presence is really weak in my opinion, and everything that makes him good is that he fishes for an item and replaces himself. But the problem is when you miss, he just feels really bad. And also, I don't like relying on him to hit like whatever I'm like. If I'm looking for a quill or another popsicle, I don't like relying on him. So I just, you know, Mr. Shmee just puts so much more threat on the board. He's a 3/3 that lures for 2. Not only that, later in the game, I think he is much more effective of a play. Like I feel like after a certain point, I don't want to play Scuttle anymore, and he's effectively ink. But even late in the game, like later on, when your board gets cleared or something, playing Mr. Shmee is still really strong when you only have 2 ink left. Because even like, let's say you have a dime on the board, you instantly get 2 lore if you have nothing else on the board. Like that kind of stuff makes him stronger, I think. And you still run Cogsworth, so there's still some of that synergy there. No captain hooks or any other captains, but yeah, I mean, really good card. The other thing I was contemplating was the aerial broom, the broom that is evasive, but really you only run that, I think, is if you're worried about Diablos, which I think, like, I feel like Mr. Shmee is just stronger, especially in the mirror match. Like, you don't want to have a broom against a Mr. Shmee, in my opinion. So, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with Mr. Shmee for now. But yeah, I would honestly run 3. So I'm running 4 because, like I said, I don't have that extra 1 jump ahead. But ideally, if I had everything for this deck, I would run 1 less Shmee, 1 more 1 jump ahead. But yeah, I'm just playing with what I have for this tournament. But you know, still a work in progress. To round out the 2 drops, I run 4 copies of Baboom. I know a lot of people don't run all 4, but I love this card. It's inkable, which is the amazing part, but when it's not, it hits Flynn Rider and Diablo, which are my 2 main targets. But even in aggro, it'll take out, you know, a lot of 2 health, like high lore getters. I feel like it's just amazing, and like you kind of want to have it in your hand. I know a lot of people like Mr. Shmee because it counters Flynn Rider, but if they follow the Flynn Rider with Sisu, the 3-drop Sisu, then he's a problem all over again. Instead, you just Baboom him and then just get rid of him right now. That's my whole idea with it. It's just such a versatile card, just 2 damage. It's usable throughout the whole game. I just think running 4 is nice, especially since it's inkable. If I don't need it, it functions as ink, right? So yeah, 4 Babooms in my opinion is clean, and I'll probably be sticking with that. I don't think I'll be changing this number, but I mean, I guess we'll see. I have run less when I've changed up, like I've had Fire the Cannons instead, but I really like the inkability of Baboom, so for now 4 Babooms is what I'm playing with. Moving on to 3 drops, we hit our next ramp card. We have 4 Fishbone Quills. This is the ideal ramp. 1 jump ahead gets you started in the early game, but you really want this card to get you ramping all the way throughout the game. The reason being, this is an item, so it's always on the board as long as it doesn't get destroyed, but it makes it so you can ink twice per turn instead of 1, and not only that, it makes your uninkable cards inkable. So it allows me to have more uninkables than I'm usually comfortable with in a deck. And not only that, being able to ink twice per turn, if no one interrupts this, if no one destroys this, or destroys your hand so you have cards to ink with, you'll see it ramp up super quickly, where suddenly you'll have like 10 ink when your opponent's at 5 or something like that, right? If you get it perfect. So yeah, I mean, non-negotiable. I think you have to run 4 of these in any ramp deck because it's just that crazy. I would say if you have trouble getting cards back in your hand, maybe think of bringing this number back down, but when you are running blue, you have Harem anyway, so that's not really an excuse. So yeah, 4 Fishbone Quills. Next, I have 2 Rise of the Titans. Yeah, I have added these into the deck from previous builds. I did not run it, but with the prevalence of Ruby Amethyst now, and not only that, like this also hits like Hidden Cove and stuff like that, but really Queen's Castles, like you know, Ruby Amethyst plays it. Any aggro with Amethyst will play it as well. I think it's just necessary now. I tried to not avoid it as much as possible because I mean it's not really a good tempo play, but Queen's Castle is just so unanswerable that you need to play this against it, I think. So yeah, 2 copies. That's really the only thing I play it for, and you know, it functions as ink if I don't need it, but yeah, it's come in clutch. So yeah, definitely 2 copies here. On to 4 drops, I have 4 Hiram Flavershams. Yeah, I think that's another non-negotiable number, is because this is your card draw. If you don't run Howling World especially, this is all you're basically drawing off of. It's as long as it stays on the board, it gives you cards. So yeah, I don't think that's negotiable. I don't think I really have to explain it. I think everyone knows you run 4 Hirams in these kind of decks, and yeah, let's just move on. 2 copies of Grandma Tala. I had more of her before. I've tried 3, I've tried 4, but 2 seems to be the nice number. I've had more before because I just want more 4 drops, because 1 jump ahead will get you to a 4, right? So that's kind of what you want to hit. And she has a nice effect, you know, she has the Develop Your Brain effect, so it's a nice card, and she sings your 4-cost songs for you. but definitely the most cuttable card. If you are running out of space, I feel like it's just usually when you're trying to ramp to 4, you want to hit Hiram, not her. She's nice when you're trying to avoid certain things that would hit Hiram, I guess, like Brawl or something, right? She avoids Brawl, so it's nice. But yeah, if anything gets cut, it'll probably be her. But yeah, no, right now I still like 2 copies, so 2 copies will stay in the deck for now. But yeah, she makes a good singing target for the 2 Along Came Zeus's that we play. This is another number I've played around with. I've run 1, I've run 2, I've run 3, and now I'm back to 2. It's nice because there are some targets that you have trouble hitting, and anything with 5 health, like the beasts and other things I can't think of right now. But hitting 5 is nice for sure, and especially since it's a song, it can be sung, especially by Grandma Tala or Hiram when he's not giving you draws. And really any of your 5 costs too can also sing it, right? So really nice card. I brought this number down just because I put in other answers because I'm worried more about Tamatoa, which this doesn't clearly clean. It's still possible, which I think you've seen I've done in the past, is I'll sing this and then Grandma Tala will run into Tamatoa. That's a way to kill him, right? So still usable, but I'm trying some other answers too, so and making more space for other uninkables, so that's why I've cut down to 2. Still a good number though. I still see a lot of use from it, so definitely keeping it in the deck still. And we have 1 copy of Avalanche. You'll see in my next couple videos, I did start testing with this before this iteration of this deck, but I like it. It deals 1 to everything and hits a chosen location. This is the answer to Bucky usually, especially if they have Cove. So if they do Hidden Cove and Bucky on it, this still kills him because it does the damage to him, destroys the Cove, so he still dies. And the great part about it is it's 4 costs, so when you 1 jump ahead, you have already reached this, you can already use this. And it also answers a lot of aggro, which I've been seeing with like Maleficent 1 drop or any of the 1 health aggro units. It will also kill them. Overall, just a really nice card. I'm only running 1, but I'm thinking maybe I could like work around this, like maybe replace a Rise of the Titans with another Avalanche if I think it's more useful. We'll see. I still really like the ink ability of Rise of the Titans. That's why I still have Avalanche at 1. But when I do draw this card, it usually makes a difference. Like it's really helped out every time it showed up so far. So yeah, 1 copy is good. Might go to 2. We'll see. Next, 4 copies of Cogsworth. I've been thinking either 3 or 4 of him, but I brought him down to, well, initially when I was trying this set, I actually cut him completely. I cut him completely, but that was because Ruby and Sapphire was really rampant and he just kept dying to Sisu and it was really bad, so he was gone. But now that it's kind of died down a bit, now that we have Bucky coming into prevalence, now that we have like other kind of decks that just are back to like pinging you with steel or stuff like that, Cogsworth is still amazing. I think against like Emerald, Amethyst, or any of the like little smaller non-Ruby decks that can't completely wipe your board, having 2 of these in play, like having 2 Cogsworth next to each other, almost renders your board like really like almost invincible. They're pretty hard to kill. So still, yeah, I like it. I brought it back up to 4 just because I feel like it's really safe now, because there's less of Sisu running around, and there's no, I mean, there's some Steel songs, but the worry with Steel song was that 7-cost Cinderella would sing something and hit him, right? But yeah, we see a lot less of that, so I feel comfortable running 4, so I'm back to 4. Next, we have 2 5-cost Item Breaker Beasts. I was playing around with 1 in my initial deck, but 2 is, I think, the good number. Like, I really like his effect. He's really turned things around, especially in this tournament. I think he put his work in, so I like 2 copies. It's just, it hits dimes, it hits quills, it hits a lot of items that, like, I think some of the aggro Amethyst decks, like Sorcerer's Spellbook, this also kills it. It's just always useful, and if not, I mean, like, if they don't run items, then it's ink. So, and even sometimes I had 1 game that I played it just because I wanted the lore pressure, like he just wiped the board and I put down a 4/4 for 2 lore. It's just still good, So yeah, 2 copies. He's served me well so far, so I will keep it in. Why Beast over Benja? It's so that he can sing 5-cost songs. That's it. That's the change. And I ramp really hard. Like 3 is an awkward number for me anyway, but I can hit 5 like pretty easily. So you know, and usually I'm not. The only thing I would want to break earlier would be like the quill, I guess. But I think the ability to sing songs and all the extra stats and all that puts him over Benja in this deck. So yeah, 2 copies of Beast. Next we have 3 copies of Grab Your Swords. I'm up to 3 copies now. It's just really good, I think, especially with Emerald and Steel being such a prevalent deck. This thing will wipe them. Like just if you play it, it'll clear almost everything usually, especially when you pair it with Tinkerbell. I think it's so necessary to have this many, because like if you run any less, I feel you can get away with 2, I think, but it's hard because like if you see 1 early and you have to ink it, then you're just relying on 1 more. I think 3 is just a really good number. It's just, you know, board clear is still really good, especially with this current meta. I think I use it against Ruby Amethyst really well too. Like they have a lot of little easily killable things. The only thing this doesn't really work against is I think Ruby Sapphire. Even in the mirror match, if they don't have Cogsworth, really strong card. So yeah, I'm down with 3. 3 is still great. So yeah, maybe 4. I think 4 would. There's an argument to play 4, honestly. And we follow with 3 copies of A Whole New World. A contentious card right now. A lot of people are wondering if you should even play it in this deck. I did try running less of it and none of it in earlier iterations of this deck, but I put it back in. I think it's just so good. Earlier I was taking it out just because like it felt bad if I couldn't sing it, but honestly this deck doesn't mind just hard casting A Whole New World, and it's just so good, because I think a lot of people are worried like, oh, if I have Hiram or something, I'm drawing anyway, I don't want to pitch my hand. But you gotta think about, sometimes this is an offensive play, like you want to pitch their hand, not your own hand. So you're okay with discarding some cards to make sure that he gets rid of like a monstrous advantage in hand that he had. Like for example, I guess I'll be talking about it later too, but like in one of my matches in the tournament, I was in a mirror match and he had Hiram and I didn't. So I still had like 3 cards in hand, but I still played Whole New World anyway because he had like 9, right? So it just completely nullified his Hiram advantage, and yeah, it's just still a great card. And when you're playing Fishbone Quill, like being able to refill your hand instantly and keep your ink like going, you'll start ramping like way harder. But yeah, I don't see not playing it. I think it's still really good, so I'm keeping it in this deck. Maybe I might bring it down to 2 copies, but I like 3 right now. But we'll see in the future though. I still have my 1 copy of Let It Go. It's just great. It's just you sing it and you take out Automatoa. Honestly, that's really one of the only targets I can think of. The other one, I guess, would be if you do encounter Steel Song, this will hit 7-cost Cinderella, which is really hard for you to get rid of as well. But yeah, I'm still at 1 copy, but it's nice. I've used it sporadically, but I have used it. It's nice that you can sing it with your many 5-cost units. But yeah, 1 copy of Let It Go still. On to 6 costs, we have 4 Tinkerbells. This card is a lifesaver and probably your main offensive threat. It's crazy because you get to hit 6 ink so quickly if you ramp like efficiently. And I've just had games where I drop this on the board and suddenly they don't quest, because obviously they don't want this killing all their units. But she saved me so much lore over all the games I've played. I've had games where like against aggro or something where they just don't quest for like 6 lore, like for 2 turns, so that I've saved myself 12 lore just like dropping her on the board. Even if she doesn't kill anything, she just puts a full stop to questing sometimes. But yeah, just crazy stuff like when you drop this for 1 damage to all of your opponents, and then if you have a Cogsworth or something, you sing Grab Your Swords. That 3 damage probably wipes the board, like unless they're playing like big stuff like Ruby Sapphire or something. Yeah, I don't think I got it's hard. It's gonna be hard to play this deck without Tinkerbells, that's all I'm saying. But yeah, 4 copies. I don't think that's okay. It's negotiable, maybe 3, but 4 just feels so nice because you want to see her a lot, in my opinion. But yeah, 4 copies. Next, I have 2 copies of Ariel. She quests for 5 as long as you have more items than your opponent. I still like it. It's just so nice to have. Like, basically this is Belle, because Belle also has a similar effect where if you have more than 10 ink, she will quest for 5. But she has the additional nice effect of ward, which is crazy. Like, she has survived so much stuff just because she can't be targeted. But yeah, 1 or 2 copies, that's the question. A lot of decks only run 1 copy, but I mean, I like it. I like it at 2 just because it sucks when you're looking for her and you don't find her. But it's still a question. But I like 2 right now. We'll see in the future if I do change it. But yeah, 2 copies of Ariel. Next, 2 copies of Lucky Dime. I think this is just the sweet number. Every deck runs 2 copies, and I think that's correct. It's a high uninkable. You don't really want to run more because it'll just clog your hand beyond 2. And you don't want to run less because if you don't see this card, it's rough. Some matchups live or die by the dime. You want to draw it before your opponent. In the mirror match against Ruby Sapphire, just having this is the difference maker. So yeah, crazy card. I wish it was inkable. I would have all 4, obviously, but since it's not, 2 is a good number. Next, we have 1 copy of Hades, the Infernal Schemer. So I did only have 1 Let It Go, and the reason for that is I wanted to put him in the deck. He's Let It Go, except he drops a body on the board as well, and it's nice. I see the deck, some decks running 2, running 3, but I don't want to run more than 1 just because, again, high cost, uninkable. I don't want to be clogged. I really don't like getting clogged with my hand in this deck, because last set that happened a lot. It was crazy how often it happened, so I'm really trying to staunch that by not running such high uninkables. So 1 Hades though is nice. I think if you have just 1 in your hand is fine. If you draw 2, it really hurts, especially early. Like, I think having 2 in your hand is gross. Like, it really like pauses your gameplay a little bit. So yeah, I think 1 is great because I have played it and he has done wonders. But yeah, I just don't want him clogging my hand early. But yeah, no, 1 Hades, good. And last but certainly not least, we have the big beater of the deck, 4 Tamatoas. This is another contentious topic, but I think 4 is the absolute correct number, because I think the whole idea of this deck is you have twice as many popsicles. Like, you will outpace Ruby Sapphire in items. Like, your Tamatoas will usually be bigger than theirs if you are, I won't say all the time, but if you're lucky and things go right, like, he should be bigger. And I've just had some games where if you ink like 1 or 2, if I'm running less, right, it would suck. Like, now I still feel comfortable if I draw him early, inking him away, because I was like, oh, if I ink 1, I still have 3. If I ink 2, I still have 2 in there. He's still findable, which is why I like running 4, because I don't like not having him. He's just such a crazy card. You are luring for super high, your dime is playing off of him for super high values. It's just insane. I know some decks like running 2 or 3, but I think 4 is the right number. Just the way I play the deck, at least. I just think that's how it should go. But yeah, that wraps up the deck. That is the last 4 cards. And let's get into the match analysis. So the tournament was 5 rounds until the cut to top 8. It was best of 2. So if you won and lost a game each, you would tie. And if you 2-0'd, you won. If you went 0-2, you would lose. A win was 7 points and a tie was 3 points. And yeah, you would play 5 rounds before the cut to top 8. I was close. I was very close to making it, but we can talk about it a little more after I go over each individual match a little more. But yeah, the first match I went up against Emerald Steel, and honestly, I could have won this game. I could have won this game straight up. I just I don't know if it was first match jitters or what, but it had a different iteration of the deck where it played Flynn Rider. So the first game, she played Flynn Rider, and it threw me off to thinking that it was an aggro deck, and I ended up trying too hard to control the board early, and I paid the price later because Emerald Steel is, at the end of the day, kind of like a mid-range kind of like control-y deck where it's trying to control the board. So me trying to get a hand of things early ended up costing me the game when I ran out of steam before I didn't get a chance to ramp, because I was playing like Baboom on 2, things like that to kill Flynn Rider, when I really should just focus on ramping. Honestly, even if it was an aggro deck, I should probably focus on ramping anyway, unless like there's like unless they play like double Curse Merfolk on turn 2 or something super dangerous like that. But yeah, it wasn't a dangerous situation. I should have just kept my cool and ramped, and I think I could have won game 1. Game 2 though, yeah, I came back, I got it, I ramped properly and just took care of the threats, and it ended up being easy after that. So yeah, maybe if I just kept my cool, I could have won this one. Could have been a game changer, because yeah, I was just 1 win short of making top 8. But yeah, first game ended up being a tie, 1-1. The second game, I was up against an actual aggro deck. This one was Emerald Amethyst, and it was pretty cookie cutter. They weren't playing anything too aggressive. It was like Curse Merfolk into like Flynn Rider, that kind of stuff, and there was bounce in there, and it was an interesting deck. Honestly, the first game I should have probably lost. We ended up tying again. We went 1-1 in this match as well. But yeah, the first game I definitely should have lost, because what ended up happening was they did get a lot of early lore done, and again, I was trying to control the board early. I don't remember if I had the ramp tools or not, but if I did, I definitely should have focused on it. But yeah, I was trying to control the board early. I kind of got a hang of it, but I ended up having to play a whole new world. We were like close to finishing at this point. Like we were both in the like above 13 lore each, I think. And I ended up having to play a whole new world. And when I did so, my opponent ended up flooding his board. Like he drew a lot of like Curse Merfolks, 1-drops, 2-drops, and he just played everything and threatened lethal with it. And one of the cards he played was the Ursula 2, Deceiver, to rip a card out of my hand, because he doesn't want me to grab your Swords him, obviously, because I would have wiped everything out. And I showed him that I didn't have it, luckily for me. But on my very next draw, I drew it and managed to clear his board for the win. So it felt kind of dirty. I did have some other draw potential though, so it wasn't the worst, I think. And he even said, like, because the whole game I didn't have it, like earlier in the game I didn't draw it, so he was saying yeah, it was bound to come up anyway, so he wasn't too mad about it, but still felt dirty. But game 2, he got to go first this time, and he just went too fast and I couldn't catch up to him, which happens sometimes in aggro, especially if you don't draw the tools to take care of it. Yeah, I just drew. It wasn't great. I didn't have like Tinkerbell or anything. I don't think I got Grab Your Swords either, so it was an uphill match, and we ended up tying that too. So going into round 3 with 2 ties, I was up against Ruby Amethyst, Ruby Amethyst Bounce. So this game wasn't really bad for me at all. I think I was matched down in this game, so my opponent was having a tough time. I think he was 1 tie and 1 loss. But yeah, I just had all the outs. This game, Rise of the Titans, came super clutch. I played it both games, both games against Queen's Castles, and I killed them both times. Twice, so 4 Queen's Castles killed in this game. Just Rise of Titans. I didn't have Avalanche, so it was insane. I just had all the answers, and as long as I kept him from luring early, once I get Tamator down, like it was hard to answer without being prepared. So yeah, I took both games. This was my first win of the day, and kind of like gave me the chance. All I had to do was win 1 more game, and I would make it to top 8, because that's just how the points just kind of ended up. Like just 2 wins would secure as long as you didn't lose any games. But yeah, so this is our first win. We just needed another to get it. For round 4, I was up against Ruby Amethyst Bounce again, and this game I had the worst luck I've ever had all day, or like since this set started, I think. I lost the dice roll, and then after that, game 1, I did not have a turn 1 or turn 2 play, and they had Flynn Rider on 2, so it was an easy 6 lore for them because I just couldn't answer him. Well, I managed to ramp up a little bit with Fishbone Quill on 3, but he already got 6 lore. I played Tinkerbell after that to like stop the bleeding a little bit, but it was just so far gone after that. He just had so many plays after that I just couldn't answer just because I got started so late. It was just terrible. Like, it's just such a bad starting hand. But game 2 comes around, and again, I have no turn 1 or turn 2 play. It was just not my day, or not my game, I guess. The rest of the day wasn't too bad. But luckily enough, I managed to come back a little bit. I don't remember quite how, but it was just, I started just clawing my way back with like, I ramped up, played the Tinkerbells, played Tamatoas, and I just tried to get back into the game. I do remember he got up to 19 lore, and I was at 12 or something silly like that. And I just kept clearing his board everything. I remember I played a whole new world, and after the whole new world, every time he played like a board, I would clear it. I would like play Tinkerbell, grab your swords. I remember Avalanche, I had to play that one time because he's at 19 lore and he had a Madam Mim Fox and something else on the board with less than 3 health, and I needed to hit 3 damage to wipe everything, and the 3 damage ended up being a Baboom on the Madam Mim and an Avalanche to clear it, and I think there was another 1 cost unit or 1 health left unit on the board. But yeah, it was insane. I clawed my way back to victory. I don't know how deserved it was, but really it was a hard fought win just because I did not have turn 1 or turn 2 plays. Luckily in game 2 he did not have Flynn Rider, so I got the time to come back, so that was the little silver lining. But yeah, going into round 5, I have to win this because I have 3 ties and a win. I won't be able to make it in the top 8 without it. And I faced a mirror matchup, Sapphire Steel. They were running a different deck though. They weren't running Whole New Worlds, and they had some like other different cards. They had the Queen, the 3-drop one that searched for items, and they had Maurice's Workshop, and I don't know what else they had. It was a really different take on the deck, but yeah, game 1 went really smoothly. It was a really hard fought win, but I did manage to take game 1. It ended up being the difference that I drew the dime first and I got dime on the board, and they just didn't have any answers because I do remember I played a Whole New World before I played the dime, and I saw him mill both of his beasts, Item Breaker beasts, and once I saw 2 Item Breaker beasts hit the discard, I thought that's probably the max that he was playing, and I just played the dime, and the dime stayed alive the rest of the game. We just kept clearing each other's board, but every time we did, I would like lore off of the dime, and he didn't have it for the whole game, so that ended up being my victory just from the dime alone. Game 2 was another hard fought like battle though. Like we really were just coming close to each other. Like it was just a battle of inches. We were barely clearing each other's board, but at the end of the day it ended up being, I think I made a mistake. I don't recall the game state exactly, but there was a moment where I think his aerial had 1 health, and I just quickly quested with Hiram to draw when I should have used it to kill the aerial. I want to say that's the case. I don't remember if I had played it fresh or not, like if it was still, like if I had played Hiram to draw the 2. It's, you know, my mind kind of blanked out during that time, but if I didn't, that would have been a terrible misplay, because I remember the turn after he got his dime down and got 10 lore from it, and I got close because at the end of the day I think I was at 6 lore, but I had an aerial on the board ready, and I played a dime and I got like 10, and I quested for another 3. I got up to 19 essentially, so I was just 1 lore off from winning, and I lost off of that. And if that was a misplay, that really sucks, but I'm just, you know, I took this tournament as a learning experience. I just really wanted to prepare with this deck going into set championships. But yeah, I don't think this deck is the final product. Is close. I can feel it's close. I don't think I'm going to be changing much more in it. I will let you know right before set championships, or the next week's set championships, if I do change anything. But yeah, that was the run out for this tournament. I was close, and honestly it felt kind of good. I feel like I learned from a lot of my mistakes, but yeah, I feel like a lot of you guys are learning Sapphire Steel, or you're getting into Sapphire Steel, and I'm really happy about that. I did play this deck in the last set where it was big underdog, but now I'm seeing it's more like a tier 1 deck, and I'm really happy about that. So yeah, I'll be going over this deck a lot more very soon. So yeah, definitely stay tuned. If you like this kind of content, please do consider subscribing and liking this video. Lets me know that I'm doing a good job, and I can bring you more similar content. If you have any ideas or things that you want me to change, do let me know as well. I appreciate it. But yeah, more content for you guys soon. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.